What is good, my people? We are live back on the forecast, back again. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming back to holler at the people, see what's going on with y'all, seeing how everything is going. Um, if you notice, I just put up a new video. I put it up on this channel because they took some of the strikes I had on this channel down. So, I'll put it up just to test. But you definitely want to subscribe to this channel and subscribe to my backup channel, the Forecast Radio 24, to get the videos that you're used to seeing, because they're gonna be up there every time. I can't promise they're gonna be up here every time, but I wanted to come in and talk to the people and let me put the number up on the screen real quick. And my brother Bakari just joined the channel. What's going on, brother Bakari?
Peace, brother Forecast. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. And I invited the brother Maurice Muhammad. We'll see if he come on here. I think he had to take care of something. Getting ready, but tonight, what I'm saying, I want to talk about the gender war in the black community, because the relationship between black men and black women, that's the cornerstone of our neighborhoods, our communities, and a nation. And if we're beefing as black men and black women, we cannot build our nation. And we're continue to be exposed to all of these attacks, right? And you see, I forget the Senator Lynch. I'm not sure if she's a senator or whatever she is. She, passed a law talking about, at a time where black people are being attacked the most, she passed a law, talking about protection for the police, right? Not protection for black people, but protection for police. And we aren't going to get any protection until we start protecting ourselves. And, that starts in the home. So, we're going to have a nice discussion tonight. The numbers on the screen, y'all can call in anytime, 804-601-4015. But my brother Bakari, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Peace to the chat. Once again, thank you for allowing me to join your broadcast. I thank the chat for joining. My name is Brother Bakari. You can check out my YouTube channel. That's the name of the YouTube channel, Brother Bakari. And if you haven't heard of me, if you hear me tonight and you like things that I'm talking about, I would ask you to go subscribe to the channel. Thank you.
All right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, subscribe to my brother channel. We definitely have some good conversations going on over there. And there's a lot of good conversations my brother come up with. But just regarding the topic, and gender relations in the black community, just to start it off, like, just give me your first takes on that, brother Bakari.
Gender relations right now,
Yeah, just like,
black people,
what's the first
I
thing
believe,
that come to your mind?
the first thing that comes to my mind is how black man, black woman should, I call it the four pillars. I say four pillars of a man, but the way we should get down: respect, love, provide, and protect one another. But then after that, it comes, we are caught up in a false gender war that someone else created. We are continuing it where someone else, we allowed someone else to create a war to have us fighting one another. Now we're continuing the hate toward one. It's like if you sit even on Facebook or whatever, you listen to people, just listen to people talk. The black man is always trying to say it's the black woman fault. The black woman is trying to say it's the black man fault. Even with the lady Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor here in Georgia a year ago, uh, they're saying she's going to be. They want her to run as Joe Biden's running mate, right? So she was speaking this just the other day on CNN, And she said, well, it's been people of color. Then she said, well, black people that has been voting Democrat, but it's the black woman's vote that oppose the Democratic Party. Even in that sense, she divided the black man and the black woman. And with her, I could understand why, because she is a lesbian. And she's also pushing that agenda. So when a lesbian, you find someone homosexual and they're pushing that agenda as well, of course they want to keep the black man and the black woman divided. But just even in that sense, and you can say that on a public, and you can say that on national TV, CNN, international, and you can just see how we can just see and hear how we feel about one another. When you go out, and this is just me, what I see, because I pay attention to this, and I show my kids when they're out with me. You see a lot of black single mothers. So what I always say, you see a lot of black baby mamas, and then a black man get any other woman and marry them. But they'll make a black baby mama and walk away and don't even deal with them no more. And to me, that's disheartening, and it's hurtful, and more important, it's disrespectful. But that is a war that these people have created, and we are falling for it. And I'll yield the mic.
Right, and yeah, you definitely make some good points. And like speaking to that, like earlier on Facebook, I saw a meme. It was of Jeezy when he married that girl from that show, The View, or whatever show that is. And it's talking about Asian women and Latino women compared to black women. Now these you always see this, and it's the same on both sides with black men and black women. So but the issue is, like, we now perpetuate it, right? But we don't understand where it comes from, like, or how deeply it was embedded. We all understand that the black family is under attack, but we don't understand why and how, right? So I always like to talk about history, and I always go back to how it first started, right? Just in America before it was America, then it was laws literally on the books where if you married, like, a black woman would have to pay extra taxes. So if you married a black woman, you would have to pay double taxes, whereas if you married a non-black woman, you wouldn't have to pay any taxes. Then you go on to laws created where black women couldn't have their hair a certain way. Black men too, but to a lesser degree. But we couldn't bathe, we couldn't do any of that. It was literally illegal for us to get married. And and sometimes even when they were allowed to have the traditional wedding, even though they couldn't get married, they would just break up their family, right? This has been the whole stereotype of America, right? And we already know about the buck breaking farms, and it's not just with the gay stuff, it's with the contributing to having multiple kids by multiple women kind of mindset. That kind of mindset just doesn't come out of nowhere. And of course, poverty and all of these things play a role in it, right? But as black people, we are trying to fight a war, and we are judging each other off of our enemies' standards, right? So, women will look at us based off of how much money we'll have in the white supremacy system. And we'll look at a woman based off her status in the white supremacy system. So, I want you to speak to that, my brother. Like, how do you think we come up with ways to judge each other, and how we look at each other, like, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. We have been taught to look at one another in a certain way. You know what? We judge one another on, now this is my opinion, on who can live the most white, who can live the most white, or who can get away from being, or who can get away from being black. See, the thing is, we have to fix this, right? They created the problem. But we have the solution. No one else have the solution for us. So we have to stop looking at the things that they're created, the thing that they created as beauty standards. They still have us fighting over dark skin and light skin. You know, look, one of my friends sent me a thing. Look, LeBron James' son said he's attracted to white women. But that is something that we do because you take them away from black people and you put them in a situation where they're only around anything other than black. But that's us, like you said, that's us continuing to do the things that they started, the things that they created. We uphold their beauty standards. The European standards of beauty is what we uphold. The European standard of greatness is what we uphold. And now it's to the point whoever have the most money. So we can flash money, and that is the biggest thing. And I'm not saying we don't need money, because we surely need money. But if you can get a little money, you don't have to live around black people anymore. Think about this. We're the only people that I know who their dream is to get a little money and move away from your own people and go live around somewhere else. I'm not saying you have to live around people that want to rob you, but we haven't even created a system. We haven't created anything where we can live together in a good neighborhood. Yes, we have a criminal element, but that is also something that they created. So, and all this ties back to, and even with, like I'm saying, the gender wars, I'm talking about everything that they have created and everything that we fall for. We are the only people, our dream is to make money and say, I'm going to lead a hood. And we don't care how hard we don't care how your kids are treated. We don't care about any of that in school. We don't care about that. We don't care about, like, out here one time in a place called Alpharetta, Georgia. They were marching. You can go look at the Oprah Winfrey show back in 1993, how they was talking about niggas, stay part of my French, the N-word, stay where you are. Why can't you build your own community? But we can't wait till we get a couple dollars to go live around those people, then say it's nice out there. Of course it's nice, but they didn't build it for you. They built it for themselves. So that become a standard that we start to look at, because we don't even want to be around one another. From the gender war, from the colorism, and from the way that we treat one another, is everything that they created. And we continue it. It's like it's on cruise control now. They don't even have to do anything no more. We are continuing this. We are continuing the mental and emotional and physical abuse to us. We continue to do it to ourselves because it is something that has been passed down. Like I said, they created the problem, but we have the solution. It is time for us to start solving these problems amongst us. For me, it's a problem when you see the black woman is the last woman to get married and the first to get a divorce. Only 1 out of 4 black women will get married. That's a problem. So that means our men will look at other places to find something. Then we turn and say, "But we making black kids with somebody." No, you're not making that. But the guy who do Wild and Out on MTV, that's what he said. See, what you do is you can get you a good white woman and make you a black baby with her. No, you're not making a black baby. You're making a mixed baby. But that is something that they created, and we continue it. And we continue it. So we have to solve the problems that they created. And I get the mic.
Yeah, you absolutely right. In the first strategy of war, everybody knows it, divide and conquer, right? And they learn how to divide divisions. You know what I'm saying? We're already divided, and they learn how to divide us even more, right? And like I said, but we have to understand the power that we do yield, like even in the state that we're in. The America's number one goal, their number one mission has always been to destroy the black family, to destroy black masculinity, destroy black femininity. They understand the power that it comes with. They understand it better than we do. That's why I don't understand why we always try to, you know, we try to explain racism to them. They know it better than we do. They created it, right? And they'll always hit you with the talking points about how the back in the early 40s and 30s and 20s or whatever, the black people, we had the highest marriage rate, and in return we had strong communities where we recycled our dollar. Now, the only difference between now and then is the illusion of inclusion, right? But they systematically went after these communities. Now, we're black men on this panel, and I'm sure a sister could come on and speak for sisters. But as black men, we did not do our job in the community as far as defending the community, right? Like, when you think about slavery, if somebody comes up into your place and rapes your daughter or your mom, you know what I'm saying, right in front of you, or they have company coming over, so they just come in your cabin and take your woman out, you're supposed to die right then. There's no way you can sit there and wait for your woman to come back. And how do you think she feels when she does come back? Right? She's not gonna be able to look at you the same way that she always has. Right? It's gonna be a little bit of it's gonna be more and more weakness there, right? And black women, and just this my opinion because I'm not a woman, but it seems as though black women has a little bit of resentment, just based off of the lack of protection. Because just speaking of our role, we failed to do the protecting, right? We still today. I just had a video, a cop went in there and beat up a man. Like, the man was standing right there. He went in there and beat up his woman, and all he could do is record, right? And I saw a meme, and it had a bunch of black dudes, standing there with guns, and a little girl standing in the middle, and they said, and the meme said, yeah, it's all tough, but I bet a cop could walk up there and smack the little girl and nobody would do nothing. Now, of course, people argued on it, but it is some validity in that point a little bit. Now, so what do you think about that, though, brother Bakari?
Man, I had sent you a thing saying you have to get me caught up because I
Oh,
had to step away for a second. My grandkids was downstairs leaving. I had put it in the back
oh
chat
yeah,
saying
yeah.
I'll be right
Well,
back.
oh, okay. Well, I was saying, as black men, just speaking off of our role, we failed to protect our women. We didn't like I mentioned, like slavery. If somebody comes into your cabin or whatever and takes your woman, your daughter, your mother or whatever, and rapes them right there in front of you, or takes them back to their house for their company, you're supposed to die right then. And I was just speaking about, like, how, in my opinion, I think black women have a little bit of resentment from the lack of protection they have been getting. So, I'm just speaking on that point. What do you think about that?
I I agree with that. Excuse me. I agree with that. And from slavery and even to now, you're not protected. Uh, they don't feel protected because these so-called police, these cops who protect everybody else but serve black people, you know, uh, they can, for the most part, they can come to our neighborhoods and do what they, and nothing happens. Do you remember the little girl in Dallas, Texas, a couple years ago? The little 14-year-old girl in Dallas, Texas, a couple years ago. They were living out in this big white subdivision, and they gonna have a pool party. That man caught that little girl by her weave and flipped her over and slammed on her back. Nothing happened. Look at this old, it was a white man here in the mall somewhere in Georgia. Punched the little, he was 54. The black girl was 12 years old. She was talking noise. And all those black people out there with her was out there talking. He was 54, she was 12. He hit her with a right hand and knocked her out. And I even heard some black people make excuses for him. Well, she shouldn't have been, well, she shouldn't have been in her face talking like that. I'm saying that's what I heard black men say. So yes, sometimes a black woman does feel that they have not been protected. We have been in this position since we are not self-sufficient. A lot of times we can't even take care of our women and children the way we're supposed to because we have to go to other people for a job. So yes, I do think sometimes there's resentment. there's resentment for the things that has happened with black people. And and I think it goes both ways. I think it goes both ways, but this is 2020 and it's time for this to stop. We continue, we continue to do the same thing. We continue to perpetrate violence amongst one another, dislike one another, use other people's standards of beauty. We want to talk black but live white. That seems like that's our goal. We embarrassed to be who we are. All of that goes back to things that have been taught to us. But like I said, we have to solve the problem. We have to show our women that we will protect our women. Like when those brothers down in Brunswick, Georgia, when they marched in front of that man's house, when the police saw how many brothers and sisters was out there locked and loaded, they called the people who was called. Oh, he ain't breaking no law. They ain't not breaking any laws. Didn't even come down there. Or in instance, I don't know if you remember the meme that was going around on Facebook when this white militia went to the state capitol in Michigan with their weapons. And the only thing I saw black people saying on there was like, well, we couldn't do that. If that was us, we know what they'll do to us. Well, we can do what we want to do. But within a week later, it was a black lawmaker that worked inside of the state capitol building who felt threatened when that white militia came up there with their guns. So then it was a black militia that walked her to work and walked up on those same capitol steps that the white people did, and nothing was done. And that's what we have to start doing. We have to start showing our women and our children that we will protect them and take care of them. We can't depend on this system because this system was not for us. This system, I heard somebody say one time, the system is broken. The system is doing what the system was designed to do. And what the system was designed to do was to keep us in this position that we're in. So in my mind, in my eyesight, I say the system is working perfectly. So we have to create our own system. We have to become self-sufficient. We have to become self-sufficient. We have to take care of us because no one else is going to do it. We have to do it. And I yield the mic.
Yeah, and that white guy you talked about punching a little girl, he ended up getting probation, by the way, and like you said, nothing happened to him. And the D in the chat room said he disagreed. The white man has given black women power over the black man.
Yes, I
Well,
want to. Can I say something about that right quick? Because I was just reading it. Can I say? Can you put that on the screen for me, please? Just click on it, put it on the screen.
yeah.
He respectfully disagreed. The white man has given the black woman power over the black man, financially, governmental powers, etc., power over children, etc., power to abort. Now, you have the right to say that, but nobody gave a woman power over me because they're giving nobody power over me. See, for me, this is a conversation we had one time in the barbershop. I think sometimes it bothers a black man that a woman make more money than them. And I don't know how much money D make, but I'm just saying that goes to that argument. See, I'm a strong man. My wife passed away, 14 years ago, right? June 4th this year will make 14 years ago.
Sorry to hear that,
My
my
wife,
brother.
that's all right, man. Thank you. My wife doubled the amount of money that I made. I didn't have a problem with it because I'm still a man. So they can't control me. It didn't make a difference who made the most. I still did what I was supposed to do as a man. I still respect, love, provide, and protect. And when she was pregnant with my soon-to-be 17-year-old son, she was on bed rest for 7 months. Couldn't work. Had to tear in her placenta throughout the whole pregnancy. We didn't miss a beat, didn't miss a mortgage, didn't miss a car note, didn't miss a meal. Because I did what I was supposed to do. Now that's how I'm wired. So no one had power over me. And she said we gave them power financially. We have to think more black women is going to college and graduating college and putting themselves in position to make more money than a lot of black men. Maybe that has something to do with it as well. But see, I'm not in the gender war because no one has power over me. It doesn't matter to me that my wife made more money than me. Me and my wife was good, and I still knew who I was, and I was still the man. So we gonna always be the man. See, that's one of the tools that they use to say to keep us divided. That's one of their tools. Let's give the woman the power. We know that's why they took the man out the household. We know that's why, okay, you on Section 8, your man can't stay here. We know that's why what they did. But that's why I say we have the solution. We have the solution. Nobody ever had the power to abort any of my. Yes, it's going to be black women out there talking about, because I've had this conversation with them. You trying to control my body. Ain't nobody trying to control your body. Well, you can't tell me what to do with my baby. Long as it's in my stomach, it's my baby. And the answer to that is you want to shut all that up, and this is what needs to happen. Okay. As long as it's in your belly, it's your baby. When it come out of your belly, it's still your baby. Don't ask me for nothing. They can't control. I don't want to control a woman, and there's no woman that's going to control me. We're going to be a team, and we're going to work together. But I do understand what the brothers are saying, and he had a right to disagree with me. I thank him for watching and listening to what I'm saying. It's okay for him to disagree, long as we both know that it's a problem that we have to fix together as a people, the black man and the black woman, that we have to fix together. As long as that is something that we agree on, that it doesn't matter about disagreeing on this. I yield the mic.
Yeah, and the brother D is he cool. He a cool brother too. And, you can call in if you want to. And say whatever you got to say. But like the brother said, like no one could give you power over that. And the only thing I had with that statement, it kind of automatically puts you in opposition with the black woman, because if you're on the same team, like when you're really on the same team, if she's getting something, you're getting the same thing. But I understand exactly what you're saying. Like government program, these things are designed a certain way, to emasculate the man and masculate and take the femininity away from the woman, and there's a purpose behind that, and we got to understand that. And like I said, it goes all the way back to you know the I talked about the I don't know if a lot of people really study the Moynihan report, which it was a racist report in itself. They try to say it was like a liberal kind of report, but the whole thing was racist. Basically saying, black people are savages, but because of white supremacy, right? But they talked about the black family and the destruction of the black family. And you will hear white conservatives all the time use the talking point about how the black family was destroyed, because of welfare and all of that stuff. Now welfare was just one thing to target the black community, because, you know, white farmers, they didn't have to have single parents. They didn't have to be single parents to get welfare. It only applied to a certain demographic. But I want to hear your opinion about that talking point about how welfare, what's the thing that drove the black woman and the black man apart. I want to hear your opinion. What you got to say about that?
Yeah, that is part of it, because our women could not receive that government assistance as long as the man was in the house. So now a man, and this just me, I could be wrong, but this is what I honestly believe. So this man who want his wife and children to have somewhere decent to stay and to be able to receive that public assistance until he's able to get him a job. Unfortunately, he was never able to get a job to take care of the family. So you can't be here because I need this place to stay. That's part of their design. That's part of their design. But when we are together and we are together, there's going to have to be something. Black people, we're going to have to learn as a group to say no to certain things. The black man and the black woman, we're going to have to say no to certain things in order to we can't stay divided for their crumbs from the crumbs. Because that's what we're getting. We're not getting the scraps, we're getting the crumbs from the scraps. So there's going to be certain things that we are going to have to say no to in order for us to fix ourselves. We can't constantly accept everything that they say, fall for it, then say there's no unity amongst us. Oh, the black man and the black woman is disrespectful to one another. We act like we hate one another because we haven't learned to say no. We have to be willing to step away from that system. That's what we have to be. We have to be willing to step away from certain things and build ourselves up. And if we start building ourselves up together, we will look at that like we don't even need that because we can take care of each other. And that's my take. I get it, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. And first of all, hold on, let me take this off real quick. But yeah, uh, well, when people talk about the welfare whole issue with that, we don't really give like context to it. We look at it from like a 2020 hindsight point of view. But I try to look at it from their point of view. Like if you're in a position where you've just had your cities destroyed, most of it from the Highway Acts in 1955. You're going through the whole civil rights thing. You can't ride on the bus, right? You can't get a job, and you got babies at home, they're starving, right? It's a lot easier for us to say, well, no, you should have just said no, you know what I'm saying, and did whatever you had to do. But when you have a crying baby, it's a lot harder to say no, you know what I mean? So I don't want to just discourage the ancestors, but those were things that were set out to be on purpose, right? And to set out, and by now it's starting to create a whole mindset, is a whole thing to it. And Prisoners of War said, he never been on welfare. His parents were never on welfare, and mine either. I never really had to, but it still affects our community overall, like just total overall. And he said, a lot of black women choose to stay in the books. And I'll say this, like, I don't really know how many people like agree with me, but it almost seems like black women are way more militant and are down for the cause than black men. You'll hear a black woman say, we gotta cut it off at the head. You know what I'm saying? Before you'll hear a black man say it. That's just me. They just seem to be, a little bit more militant. And I know you talk about Marcus Garvey a lot, and during his time, black women kind of got fed up, and they was like, well, if black men ain't gonna do nothing, we're gonna start taking over the movement. Then, Marcus Garvey kind of came up. So, as a group of people, we have to realize how we affect each other. And I see something else. But yeah, yeah, it's a lot of resentment in the community on both sides. You know what I'm saying? But I want to like, what do you think about the black woman's role in this whole situation that we're in?
The black woman role is to the black woman role is to be with the black man. Like I said, I say the four pillars of a man because I'm a man. Because I think that's it. Respect, love, provide, protect. But the black woman have to do the same thing. Respect, love, provide, protect. We have to do that for one another. That is the black woman's role. Now, I absolutely agree with you when I hear more black women being militant sometime when it come ready to fight than black men. you know, sometimes, and that's back to what you said, how sometimes the women might have some resentment because they haven't felt protected. But look at Harriet Tubman. Look how many times she went back. Now look at Frederick Douglass, who admitted on his deathbed that he was scared to go back because he was scared what the white people from down south was going to do to him. Our role is to support one because our situation and what we have gone through is unique to any other race of people throughout the history of the world. No one has ever been in chattel slavery this long. Even when you watch and you study Rome, and they made gladiators, people were fighting their way from this long from slavery. And you study Rome, people were fighting their way from gladiators. People were fighting their way out of slavery this long in slavery. And you study Rome, people were fighting their way to be gladiators. You have to mute your mic. Yeah, they were fighting their way. They would fight their way and they were pinning their way from slavery. You have to mute your mic. Yeah, they were
Hey,
fighting.
brother Maurice, hey, you put that joint on mute real quick.
Slavery. You have to mute your mic. Yeah, they were fighting.
Hey, brother Maurice, hey, you put that joint on mute real quick.
Okay. But yeah, even no one has ever gone through it this long. And now, when slavery was supposedly over in 1865, Jim Crow. So look, really, man, and how long did Jim Crow, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, really, man, think about it. Since 1965, 66, we have supposedly had how long did Jim Crow Reconstruction, 54, 55 years? Think about that. No one has gone through this. And sometimes I understand the frustrations on both sides, the black man and the black woman. Even if I don't agree with it, I can understand it. But the black woman role is to stand with her man. But see, the man, we have a role too. We have a role as well. But we'll talk about that later. Because we were talking about the woman's, but that's the woman role. The same role as the man, stand with her man, respect, love, provide, protect, take care of the family. You know, be a mother to the children. I get it, Mike. Respect, love, provide.
Alright, brother Maurice, you there, bro? You can go ahead and introduce yourself and alright, brother Maurice, you there, bro? You can go ahead and introduce yourself. Alright, brother Maurice, yeah, I'm not sure if he on there or not. Yeah, I'm not sure if he on there or not.
You might have to mute his mic. You might have to mute his mic.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he on there or not, but yeah, you make some good points. Definitely, the roles are kind of they've been flipped upside down, and there's a purpose and a meaning behind it. And by the way, anybody could call in anytime. You know, the number right there on the screen is 804-601-4015. Let me see if my brother is on here or not. Brother Maurice, are you on here? You there? 804-601-4015. Let me see if my I guess he's not on there. 4015. But yeah, anyway, I'm not really sure if you're on there, my brother. Say something in the chat, let me know if you're there. But this whole gender war is a reason why we're supposed to be kept apart. They understand that their numbers are dwindling. Okay, all right, my brother on here. Let me get him on here. Brother Maurice, you hear me? You there?
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, big bro. How you doing?
What's going on, my brother? How you been, man?
I'm doing good, doing good. Just fresh back off the road. Me and the initiative leadership team was down in Mississippi this weekend. So we're just fresh getting back from that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to be
That's
here.
what's up,
Peace
man.
and blessings, brother Bakari.
Peace, brother Maurice.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't know if you've been hearing the conversation or not, but we kind of talking about like different aspects of the gender war. You know what I'm saying? You can like introduce yourself and say what your first kind of thoughts on the subject is. I don't know if you've been listening. You can speak on it.
All right, thank you. And again, my name is Maurice Muhammad. I'm the leader of the B1 Initiative. Our YouTube page, Maurice Muhammad #3, was just terminated by YouTube, I think last week. So we're starting all over again with our other page, Maurice Muhammad #2. The gender wars. I wasn't able to listen to everything that was said prior to me being on, but my understanding of the gender wars is like a unholy war. When you're dealing with the male versus the female, the black woman versus the black man, it's definitely an unholy war. It is a war that is not sanctioned by our God and is not sanctioned by our own nature. We know better than that. But dealing in this world under the effects of these white devils and their gender war between the white woman and the white man, which has been going on since they came into existence and is still going on today. You know, it's unfortunately that some of our people have taken that and joined into that fight and brung that fight over into the house, in our house, where it does not belong. And so we need to be doing some work to heal that divide. Because if you can continue to divide the man and the woman, then the family unit is totally destroyed. Therefore, we will not be able to stand. So that's my thinking on the gender war at this point, dear brother. Yeah, I'll rest my mic.
Right, okay. And by the way, anybody can call in anytime y'all want. The number is right there on the screen. It's 804-601-4015. And my brother Maurice, he made a point about, you know, the gender war in other communities. And this something I feel like is important to stress over and over, because, you know, we as black people like to say we are the only group of people that do such and such, where we're not the only group of people that do these things. It just affects us more because we're the situation we're in. But we have to understand that, you know, like he said, the white men and white women, they're in their own gender war with each other. Now, the difference is when it comes to us, they know how to put aside their differences and get on code and do what they have to do to maintain their position. We have to learn how to respond with more urgency than they do, you know, to get out of the position that we are in. Now, you know, when it comes to, you know, white men and white women, you know, historically, we already know what a black man, what a white woman means in America. More times than not, black men have been lynched for not even messing with a white woman. You can turn down a white woman. You can be consensual with a white woman. It doesn't matter. If she says you did anything, you're dead. And most times they just made it up. You know, Ida B. Wells always broke this down. I got to give her props. You know, she talked about the lynch law, how it was really about economics, but they used protecting the white woman to create the system that they created. Now, you know, I want to ask y'all two brothers about that. You know, I guess either one of y'all can go first. I guess you know, it don't matter. Brother Bakari.
I wasn't for sure what you say you want to ask about. What you want to just
Well, well, you know about like how, you know, they use the lynch law, right? The guys, white men under the guise of protecting white women, use that to destroy so many black communities. You know, like the brother talked about the race war, like between, well, the war between white men and white women, and how they still managed to stay on code and be focused, you know, to maintain their position. You know, now, you know, what do you think we need to do to, you know, maybe not necessarily a lynch law, but, you know, what do you think about that?
we have to create rules. Uh, I was my janitorial service, my pressure washing business. I had some businesses with some Asian, some Chinese people, right? And constantly going in there, I started to talk to them. Kind of got to know them, right? And their rules are simple and plain. You're not going to be protected if you marry outside who they are. And this was Chinese people on the spot, but it was Chinese, it was Korean, there were Vietnamese, there were all of those people in there working, right? In their system. I don't know about the Chinese population in Richmond, right? But you see Chinese restaurants, don't care where you go, right? But do those Chinese people in your neighborhood that own a restaurant around your neighborhood, do you ever see their kids in the same school? No. Do you ever even see them shopping in the exact same grocery store that you go to? No, because they created rules. And as they were sitting and they were explaining, if you marry outside of an Oriental, they were disowned. They was kicked out of the family. You can't deal with us until you come back. Preferably Chinese with Chinese, but a Chinese with a Korean is acceptable. That was acceptable. A Chinese with a Vietnamese, certain Vietnamese, that was acceptable, and vice versa. But once they go outside of that, so that's how they protected one another. They created rules. And for us, what we have to stop saying is we have to accept whatever our kids do because they're our kids and we love them. And you just have to get to the point. No, we don't. We don't have to accept that. If you can't listen to what I taught you from the time you was a child, now you just want to grow up and do what you want to do, that is cool. I still do love you, but I don't have to accept it. And it's just certain things, excuse me. And there's just certain things that we just have to be stern on. I'm not accepting that. And you don't have to deal with me. I love you, but I'm going to feed you with a long handle spoon. And that's how we're going to do one another. We have to start creating rules. And I hope that answered the question. I hope you understood what I was saying. I was trying to use that to answer the question from what you explained to me. And I get it, Mike.
Yes, sir. So one thing that we know that our enemies are definitely on their code. That's 1,000% correct. But we are the ones that seem to operate as if there is no such thing. So we definitely have to establish rules and regulations and be able to punish when those rules and regulations are violated. As I was saying earlier, my team, we were down in Mississippi this weekend and we visited several cities there. And one of we went and talked to different groups of our people. And this one group, the professional group that we talked to, was able to understand everything we were saying. I mean, everybody was articulating the issues, the real problems, and what should be the real solution and how to get on the board with it. But even within that, you saw the little divisions that pop up, because the one of the main questions you get, well, if you're gonna do that, what the white folks gonna think? What they gonna do? It's like, are you serious? We just talked about what the problem is. We just talked about what the solution is. Now you want to do it, but now you're worried because you want to think about, well, what does the cracker gonna do? When the cracker doesn't have the numbers that you have. So you outnumber the enemy, and you are being afraid because of them and their lower numbers. So we're dealing with a mindset that our people have that, the white man ain't going to prove this, or the white man this, or the white man that, when we have to mature now and be as the Asians, because the Asians are very mature. The cracker is very mature. They going to do what they want to do and fuck you and your children and your horse and anybody else. If you like what they're going to do, if you disagree, their thing is fuck you, we're going to do it anyway. So we being mature, we being grown people, understanding our plight and our condition, we got to say that what matters most is what we do today. And fuck the cracker or fuck the Asian. Because when we went into these towns in Mississippi, these little small towns, and they have one beauty supply store. Who own it? The goddamn Asian. They have one or two gas stations. Who own it? The goddamn Arab. Right? And you're looking at this, even in these little bitty towns, they sitting there sucking the blood off of our people. And it's become an accepted practice that these people can come from their country, hundreds, thousands of miles away, come over here down to the Delta in Mississippi, set up shop and take money from our community. And like Brother Bakari said, they're not sending their children to those failing schools. They don't even live in those cities. But we sit back and accept that because it is accepted. Because we're doing what? We're doing trifling things of fighting each other while our enemy becomes successful and able to send their children to private school or this or that. And you can't even get your child into a decent school. You can't even put food on your table. You can't even get a mask for your child. You can't even get a mask for yourself. But yet we will stand up and fight one another and ignore the enemy. So we got those priorities mixed up. And they've been mixed up so long that some of our people can't even see that there's a brighter day coming. Because the only thing that they can see is continue drinking water out of that dirty glass that they were born into. So we got work to do to offer them that clean glass. And I tell you, brother, all the cities that we went into this weekend, all of them wanted us to stay right there where we were because we offered them that clean glass. And we have to do that. Our people need us. I'm serious. If y'all not getting out in your own communities or going into poor areas where our people are, and you see that reality for yourself, and you walk amongst them and talk with them, my God, there's a whole different light. And I rest my mind.
Yeah, y'all brothers make some good points. And you know, if anybody want to call in, you know, you can call in. The number is right there on the screen. And y'all make some good points, and y'all talk about structure and rules, and a lot of that stuff starts in the home, right? They understand that it's important to get to children's mind, and a lot of, especially for Black children, a lot of images of self-hate is pumped into children, you know, at a young age, right? And then they grow up and they see each other. It's not only white people grabbing their pocketbook closer when they see a Black man, especially with dreads, walking down the street. Other Black people start doing the same thing, right? So we have to start finding ways to educate ourselves and educate our children, and all of this stuff starts in the home. And you know, I want to get y'all opinion on this. I was speaking about structure, right? Like, it's my opinion that, like, when it comes to getting married, I think that today, in today's age, people, like, as far, especially in our community, we need to not only get our mental health together first before we even start considering that, but because there's a lot of destruction in our community, and especially people in my age group, you know, it's coming out the crack era and a whole lot of single parent stuff, you know what I'm saying, going on. There's a lot of mental issues that need to be fixed. But, you know, I personally think that, like, as people, we shouldn't be getting married until we're at least 30 years old. And I think people should be together for at least 5 years. And I think they should be living together for at least 3 years. Because, you know, the first year, everything is all love. The second year, little things might start to get to you a little bit. You know, by that third year, you'll know if you can be with that person until your kid is at least 20 years old. Because we cannot continue to have, you know, kids without a mother and a father. We see that we need both a mother and a father. There's a reason why nature made it so that you would have to have a man and a woman to have a kid. But, you know, what do you guys think about, you know, what do y'all think about that, or those kind of rules or guidelines or whatever?
You go ahead, Brother Bakari. I'll go after you. You go ahead.
Look, I agree with those rules about you should live together for a year, for a couple years. That doesn't bother me. And and I'm gonna tell you something. This back even with the stat that I said when they talk about 1 out of every 4 black women are gonna get married. Now we do stuff different, and I'm gonna be honest. Like for as me, I would never buy another marriage license to say I'm married because when my wife passed away, I understood how the government, the county you live in, I understood then how they really owned my marriage. I didn't. They did. Once my wife passed away, I didn't. They did. And to the point to I'm in Georgia, and me being a man. When my wife passed away, according to Georgia law, according to them, I'm not the father of my kids. I'm just custodian, not custodian. You know what I mean? I'm just the one with custody.
Yeah,
I
guardian.
Yes, the guardian. That's the word. No, it's not custodian, but I'm just the guardian of my kids according to Georgia rules. But yes, but I tell my kids that you should live with somebody a year or two before you get married. And I also tell my kids that you don't have to sign that you don't have to buy a marriage license to be with the woman that you're in love with or the man that you're in love with. We can have our own rules. I say I would give a woman a wedding. If it ever came to that again, I would give a woman a wedding. If that's what she wants, can give her a honeymoon. But I'm not signing on marriage certificate ever again. And that's what I tell my kids. I say we're different. You live with that person. Then if you decide that's how y'all want to do it, now it's according to how they want to do it when they get grown. I'll support them in their marriage and being with their woman or their man. But yes, I agree with we should have rules on how we should be together and how we should live together and how marriage should be. And it should be rules that we create for us, not rules that they create. And that becomes a problem in our relationships, right? Because and that's a part of the problem with a lot of things we go through because we're listening to them. They have created the rules, so therefore we are trying to live like people that we're not. See, we have to know who we are, get back to who we are, so we can live the way that we are supposed to live, and we will stop trying to be like other people. And then I believe that our relationships and everything about us would be better. But we're in a position now where we are trying to live like other people. So yes, I agree with your rules on living together and how we should create our rules for how marriage should be. So I hear them, Mike.
I definitely agree that we should establish our own way because, as Brother Bakari clearly pointed out, that when you do things in the enemy way, then you're bound by his system. I mean, for that damn bastard to tell you you're not the father of your children, or that you gonna do this the way I tell you to do it, like he created your children and he created you, that's foolishness. All right, that we know that's not no good. That's just the same way back on the plantation. You ain't got control of your own children. The cracker does. So I'm all for that because that is, again, our ability to define exactly who we are, what we want, and how we will conduct our affairs. Now, saying that, going to how we raise our children, right? Because we have to raise our children properly. I have 3 girls, and when it comes time for them to be married and all that, I'm expecting them to have the right dude, right, the right man, because if not, then there's going to be some serious problems, because I don't want my girls to go through a lot of this foolishness that other of our sisters are going with, are having to deal with. Not my girls. They don't deserve that. And so we have in our communities, we have a lack of men. That's the first thing. And so we need a manhood training class that will actually prepare our brothers to be a man. Because we have to understand, look, the enemy does not want you as a black man to be a man in his house. He doesn't want that. We all know, we've heard it where I think Brother Bakari was saying it earlier. You know, you can't do this in my house. When you're dealing with your children and your son or your daughter say, well, no, I want to do this. Well, you ain't doing that here. Not under my roof. You ain't doing that here. You better go find your own, right? And that same method is what the cracker used, because only one person can rule a house at that one time. So if we're going to come up and come into rulership, then we can't operate off the mind of the cracker. We got to operate off of our own God-given mind and understanding of our reality and what we need to bring. So that means the cracker does not make men. Let's get that straight. The cracker doesn't give life. The cracker destroys. That's all that they can do. They can destroy. They never made a man. They destroyed us from being men. So now it's on us to make our boys into men so that they will be fit to be husbands to our girls. Because if we don't do that, the destruction of our people is right there. So we got to get up and we got to make men. We got to make men. And our sisters got to get on their job because they got to make women. We can't let them look at the cracker and say, yeah, well, I want to be just like her. I want to be just like him. Or I want to be just like 50 Cent. I want to be just like this girl. No, that's the mind of the cracker. So we got to step up and attract our people to this real light so they can be real men and women. I mean, you just think about it. You go to the school, you get your little license, you get your education, you a doctor of this, a doctor of that. But can the doctor heal? No, he can't heal. But he's walking around with a title that the cracker gave him that he can't even work with. You ain't no damn doctor. You ain't no damn pharmacist. You're not a healer because you're not in the business of healing. You know nothing about it because the man who inferred on you your letters don't know how to do it. So we got to educate and ground our own. And I'll rest my mic on that part.
Yeah, man, I agree with both of you brothers. And you know, this is coming from, you know, a young black man. I don't have any kids. I'm not married, never been married or nothing like that. And you know, in this society, you know, this is a part of the reason why like the system has to be destroyed, because you know we can't continue this legacy, right? But and my brother spoke about a lack of men, and I understand how you meant it, but it's also just a lack of men, period. You know, while we're in the system of white supremacy, you know, we see brothers being hunted down on the street by random white dudes. You know, we know about the system of, you know, just the incarceration rates, you know, the black community. We know about the destruction that the crack epidemic had on our community, even though we're recovering and is now in their communities, right? And now you start to hear a lot of people talking about how, you know, it's so many women, you know, women outnumber men by far, just on a base level, you know, just because of all the destruction, you know. And now you start to hear a lot of talking points about having multiple wives. Now, I'm gonna say, me personally, I've never been the type to want multiple wives because, you know, I'm a person who believes in do unto others, and you know, I'm not with that. And you know, it's just my personal opinion. But a lot of people push for, you know, the having multiple wives, you know. So just based off the structure of how it is in America, right? How do y'all feel about, you know, men having multiple wives? Or, you know, if men can do it, you know, in my world, that would mean women can do it. So how do y'all feel about it?
I think having multiple wives couldn't. I think having multiple wives could work, but it's according to how you want to do it. Are you going to try to do it under this system that we've been under and look and see, ooh, you're going to do it like the pimps? Or are you going to go back and study your ancient ancestors and see how they did it, where the woman you're with choose your other wife for you because she know that the other woman is good for the family? You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes we can look and she's pretty and got a big booty and got a pretty smile, and bam, we want her to be the other wife. And we might not think about if she's good for the family. But if you study ancient ways, African ways, where they had men had multiple wives, the wives chose the other woman because it had to be someone that was good for the family. Now, me, I'm not sure that's what I want, but once again, I talk to my kids and I have a daughter. And whoever my daughter is with, I told her I want to meet him. I won't let you be with no pimp. But if my daughter was truly, and I told her this, if she was truly in love with a man, and this man is taking care of his family, and you're grown, and y'all choose to go that way and have been a polygamous relationship, but it's a real relationship where they have two wives, I told my daughter I wouldn't oppose it. But don't you be out here letting nobody pimp you. Don't let nobody pimp you. I think it could work. And a lot of time, if you study ancient Africa, if you study our ancient ancestors, a lot of time, that's why they had multiple wives, because there were more women than men. And they said every woman is supposed to have a man and should have the opportunity to have a child. It was not all, so it's according to what system you're going to do it under. Are we going to do like Magic Don Juan? Or do we want to study and learn and try to do it right way, something that could benefit our people? Now you the mic.
That's a very good question about polygamy, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my own personal life for this part, because when you're thinking about polygamy, the Quran says you can have up to 4, but 1 is better if you but knew. And it also says that do justice by your wives, but you cannot, but do it anyway. Now, Brother Bukhari talked about if the women pick out who is going to be another wife or whatever. And that's a possibility, that's a possibility. In the Nation of Islam or Islam, it doesn't work that way, right? So the man picks, okay? Now, before I was married to my current wife, I was in a polygamous relationship. I had 3 wives. I was around, I was like 30, like 32, 33, around there. And I had 3 wives. I had 2 were MGT in the Nation of Islam, and 1 was not. She was a Christian minister. One of the MGT, she was older than myself. Matter of fact, she was older than all 3 of us. But it was very, 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 very difficult. Very difficult. I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I was not mature enough to be in that type of relationship, right? Because it's very demanding. Most people just think about, the sex part, and they just think about that. But it is so much more. That part ain't nothing. That part ain't nothing. You got decisions to make, because you're dealing with not only your own children, but if your other wives had children prior to you, you're dealing with them too. So it's a lot of responsibility. And so, like, we didn't do this thing where nobody knew what was going on. All of our families knew what was going on. All of us. Everybody knew. My nieces and nephews would come into the house and, can I borrow $1? Can I get $1? And I'd say, well, go in the kitchen and ask one of your aunts, because I'm 3 in there doing what they do. you have a lot of days that are very contentious, and they're jealousy and envy, and it's like, when it's their day, it's their day, and you can't, you know you can't, it's just very, 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 very demanding. It is very, very demanding. I mean, we would really need a whole program just to talk about this one subject, because now that I'm out of it, and been out of it for what, going on 10 years now, that's not something that I would look to get back in. It's really not, because the love I had for my first wife, my second wife, I love my first wife more than my second. I love my third wife more than my second, but I love my first wife more than both of them two. Right? So there is that balance. That balance is really, really hard. It's really hard when you're talking about love. Now, I think I could have been better at it if my first wife wasn't there, because the number two and number three, I can pretty much do good with them and not have no leaning, not have no leaning. But it's hard, it's a oh my God, it's hard. It's hard dealing with just one. We're dealing with just one woman, one wife. It's hard enough, and you want to add more onto it. So those men that are able to do that, Minister Farrakhan, he has, 4, and other people that I know have more than one. I salute them all. I'm not ready for that kind of life. I done been there, ain't going back. And, there's reasons for polygamy, right? And so if your men are decimated, and you got an overabundance of women, and they got children need to be taken care of, then polygamy is there. But before we get into that type of thing, it's just a big subject. And I'm speaking from experience. When I was in my 30s, I was young and didn't really know too much. I'm in my 40s now, but still I would not want to do that. I just wouldn't want to do it. And dealing with the children's daddies, because they're jealous. It's like, wait a minute, you not only got my ex, but you got 2 more with you. So there's a jealousy thing that come in there, and you got to deal with that, because he want to act the fool. But his real thing is he looking at you and like, nigga, how in the hell you do this and she go down with that? But when I was cheating on her with this one over here, she break up with me. But why in the hell she going along with you in this? And it's really a lot. It is really, really a lot. And you have to be very mature, and you have to be just. And it's really hard to do. So I'll rest my mic on that. But that's something that, we probably really need to dedicate a whole show to. And what about reverse? Shit. Look here, I had a dream one night. I had a dream that we were in the reverse. I was my first wife had 3 husbands, and we were packing up to get in the truck, to go on a little road trip, and we sitting out there in the car with the children. Me and the other husband and the children, we sitting there. And so I go in the house to go see what the hell's going on. I walk upstairs, and them 2, they in the room having sex. And it's like, what the fuck? Y'all having sex and we supposed to be leaving? It's not natural for a man to be, multiple husbands to one wife. That ain't natural. It really, it's a hard thing. When I woke up the next morning from that dream, I swear to God, I was at that point, I was ready to get out of polygamy because I understood how my first wife felt. And so I was telling my wives about the dream. And all of them said, you was dreaming about me because that's how I feel. All of them said that. But I related that to my first one because that's who I saw in the dream. And that was really at that dream, that was the end of that, because I was like, we can't do this no more. I'm tired. I just can't do it. So that, like I say, bro, that's something you probably want to do a whole show on, because it's a lot to go over step by step. And I'll rest my mic.
Can I say something about the reverse right quick, okay? I would say for me, what about the reverse? Hell no. You know what? The crazy thing is, look up. There's a society of Muslims over in Africa that do the reverse, where the woman have multiple husbands. I'm like, what the hell wrong with them? But no. That's all I wanted to say was hell no.
Exactly. Double hell no.
I agree with y'all, brothers. But I agree with y'all, man. Y'all made some good points, and I appreciate y'all for sharing y'all stories. Like, that's deep for real, And like me myself, like, I can't see myself being, married to more than one woman. Like I said, it's hard enough to find like one person that you ride with enough, and I believe and do unto others, and I believe that all my attention will be on that one, And I look at relationships kind of like Medgar Evers had, right? Him and his wife, right? They trained their children, right? And that's kind of the purpose of all of this, right? He trained his children to be prepared in case of an attack, because stuff would happen. They would throw bombs at the house or whatever, and of course he ended up getting killed. But the point is, she was there prepared, and they understood that something could happen anytime, any day, but they were ready, and they prepared their children to be ready for war because they understood, the situation they were in, right? And what I want to ask y'all brothers now is, like, if y'all could go back to y'all younger self, right, and tell yourself like what to look for in a woman, right? Like, what would you tell yourself now?
What to look for in a woman? Man, you know what? I'm 48. That's hard. I don't know what I would tell my younger self. Because my younger self had to be at this point mentally. I don't know what kind of mother could she be. What's her future? What's her dream? Do she have any goals? Were you all compatible with more than just your looks and the sex? Do you want some of the same things? Do you want a family? What type of mother are you? What type of family you come from? Excuse me, is money the most important thing to you? Of course we need money, but I can't be with nobody where money is the most important thing. Money can't be the most important thing. So that's just the few of the things I would tell my younger self, about what some of the things I should look for. I hear the mic.
That's a good question. What would I tell my younger self? I would tell my younger self to make sure that, first of all, I start with myself, to make sure that I'm committed, to make sure that don't try so much to not say something because it may hurt somebody's feelings, right? Because in the long run, if you don't open up, you're going to hurt their feelings anyway. So it's best to be straight up and honest. So I would tell myself to make sure I remain that. I would tell myself to look for little things. Look for little things. If she doesn't have a good relationship with her own family, and there's issues there, then there's going to be issues in your relationship. and make sure if she's not the type of person that is able to communicate and take time, to be patient, because both have to grow, right? Both have to grow into who they really are and understand. Because even with marriage, some people think that once you say I do, then you're married, and that's incorrect. That's only that's the beginning of the process of being married. It's a process that takes on. So, look for little things. If she like wearing short dresses or revealing clothing, then stay away from that. That's not what you're into. I would tell my younger self to always think about, what's in the brain. What type of mind does she have? What type of mind does she have? Where does she see herself growing? And the most part, does she listen? Will she be able to listen to what you're saying? Will she be able to really love you in the sense of the word love? Will she be able to be there for you and not commit treason against you? Understanding that with knowledge comes a greater responsibility. Understanding that at every promotion, there's more responsibility. Every new responsibility, there's a new expectation. So when we're dealing with that, we got to make sure that we understand that there's expectations. And if she's okay with everything and, why, whichever way the wind blow, then that's not the one that you need. She has to be a principle-centered person. And I would have to be a principle-centered person. I wish I could tell my younger self not to do some things, because there were a lot of mistakes that I wouldn't have made. And polygamy is one of those mistakes that I would not have made. And I rest my mic.
Yeah, that's real. And I asked that question because, we like, it's a lot of young people, and it's hard for me to answer that question because I am my younger self right now. And, I know there's a lot of young brothers, out there, and it's hard for us to speak on behalf, of women. If a woman want to call in and answer it, it's cool too. And anybody can call in, by the way. But we have to start teaching our young brothers what to look for in a woman to avoid a lot of that trauma that gets passed down, that keeps recycling. We have to find a way to stop, passing down trauma from generation to generation. And a part of that is learning how to pick out partners and learning how to deal with the trauma in your life before you get involved with the partner. Because you're always going to bring up the same baggage. The same thing is always going to keep reoccurring until you solve whatever issues that you have within yourself, whether you blame out someone else or, the universe or whatever, is always going to come back to you. And until you realize that, then, you're going to keep running into the same issues. And, as young Black people on both sides, we don't really know what to look for. And we keep making the same mistakes. And, we learn later on down the line because, for whatever reason, information gets lost from generation to generation. And a lot of that is because of the enemy. Now, the last question I want to ask y'all is like, what do you think we can do to actually get to the point where we need to be, as far as the gender war is concerned? I don't really like to say that, but as far as race, as far as relations between Black men and Black women, what do you think that we need to do to get to where we need to be?
For me, it back to, like I say, we're gonna start with respect. Just a simple speaking, how you doing? Not calling each other out of our names. Having respect. That's the biggest thing. Just having respect and showing a Black woman that you care. Showing a Black woman that you truly care. Like me, I'm a coffee drinker, right? So I go get my coffee in the morning. And it's just little things, like for me, just little things. Every morning, there's at least 2 Black women I buy a cup of coffee. Just little things like that. And when I buy coffee, we talk, and they understand that I'm not trying to hit on them. Most of them anyway. There's been a couple that wouldn't let me buy coffee because they thought I was trying to hit on them. But for the most, just something like that, and they all say, we appreciate that, thank you. Because they say they don't feel loved and appreciated enough by black men. And if I'm just out just getting a little simple cup of coffee, and if they can make you smile and let you know that a black man truly appreciate black women and that can make them smile, that's one of the things for me. Just show them you respect them and show them that they appreciate it. For me.
You know, for me, I think it starts with us understanding that we are all we got. That's the first thing. Understanding that we are all we got. We're not each other's enemy. And we've been captive dealing with a greater enemy that wants to keep us divided. So if we can understand that one of their whole objectives was to deny us our ability to have structured and proper families, if we understand that that's their thing, then why give them what they want, right? So that's the first thing, to understand that, you know, we're at war and we are all we got. And when we understand that we are all we got, that you need me, and I need you, and we understand that, then look at how we deal with each other. How do we function with each other, right? Because we got to know that everything, that I can trust you, that you can trust me. Like today, when we were driving back from Mississippi, in my vehicle, I had myself and Sister Carolyn and her grandson, and we were coming into Memphis, and I saw on the other side of the highway, like 4 or 5 police cars with our brothers on the ground. So I was like, I'm turning around and I'm going over there. And Sister Carolyn, she's older, and I'm telling her what I'm about to do. So I was like, I'm gonna drive over there. I'm gonna pull down to the end of it. Then I'm gonna get out. You jump in the driver's seat, and I'm gonna walk up, and I'll deal with it. If I'm not back within 10 minutes, pull off. I said, go. The GPS will remain on. Follow it and get the hell out of here. I said, when you get back on the highway, you're going to see exactly what's going on. So if you see me and them tussling or whatever it is, then keep going, make some phone calls, but for y'all to get the hell out of here. And that was my mindset. That was my mentality, because I know my brothers need me. They didn't know me, but I know that they needed me. Because when I looked at the situation, then I said something's not right. So when I get back over there and we drive past them, then I pull off to the center, to the end, so I can get out and she can switch over. I'm looking at her and I can tell that she's not good with it. She's not okay. And I'm like, Sister Carolyn, are you okay? Are you all right with doing what I'm asking you to do? And she's saying she's all right, but I'm looking at her and I'm knowing she's not all right. And then she finally said, no, I'm not all right. I'm nervous. I'm scared. So I had to get back in the truck and take back off and not assist our brothers. But we are really all we got. Sincerely. There ain't no Superman. We are the only super anything that we're coming for each other. So we got to really love each other and be ready to put our lives on the sacrificial lamb to save our people if that's what need be. If that's what need be. And, I explained to Sister Carolyn that, that's my mindset 24/7, that we at war. And so every day that I walk outside of my home, I'm not guaranteed to come back, and I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with that. If that's my lot, that's my lot. So our women got to get in that mindset as well, that, when we engage, everybody's not going to make it. Everybody's not going to make it. And we have to be okay with that, because we're going to die and we're going to kill. We're going to die and we're going to kill. And not all of us is going to make it. But we as a people, we will make it. But it starts with us understanding we are all we got. And since we are all we got, let's not destroy one another, especially if you're on the same team. Now, I can understand if you a cracker lover, then you ain't on our team. We ain't got nothing in common. You rolling with the enemy. So you become our enemy. And that we're going to deal with, right? But those of us who understand the same and like the same and know we're on the same mission, we all we got. We're all we got. So you're not going to take out the best of all you got, and you're not going to take out the least of all you got. And you're not going to take out the middle of all you got, because that's all you got. So we got to be constructive with each other and not destructive with each other, because the enemy loves for us to be destructive. See? And when they attack one, in truth, they attack us all. They attack us all. So yeah, they may have taken down my other channel, and yeah, it hurt us, but it hurt us all, because it hurt us all, because we're putting out the same information that our people need. And some may get it from your channel, some may get it from Bakari, some may get it from mine. And if they remove a branch, next thing you know, they come in to take down the whole goddamn tree. And we are all we got. So we got to be able to build based off of that. And if you know this is all you got, then you ain't going to kill the only help you got. You're going to help and grow that help so they can produce more help. Right? This is how we have to deal with this, because this is real. This is war. And if you're mistaken, all you need to do is walk outside your own community and get to deal with our people on a personal level. Get to see them on a personal level. Go to their homes on a personal level. They didn't got to know you. We went out to this weekend. They didn't know us and we didn't know them. But we met them where they are. And you get to see a difference, because they're hurting. They're hurting. And they see that their own is in power, but their own ain't doing a damn thing for them. Ain't trying to help them, but trying to do everything to make the cracker smile, to make the cracker think, oh yeah, you my friend. Hell, our people suffering. They're looking for a savior. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a savior, not realizing that they are that savior, not realizing that your brother, your sister with that knowledge will help you to be all that you could ever be, and more than what your enemy ever thought that you were. The enemy made a world off of us, and the Chinese is fighting to use us to make their world rich. Now we ain't gonna let that shit go. We got to make ourselves and do what we need to do. And that's how I answer that, big brother.
All right, yeah, that was.
Can I say something for you before we continue? Please, can I say something?
Yeah. I know
that
you want to address this, brother. I know you want to address. And by the way, he can call in. You can call in if you want to, my brother. Like the dude in the chat room, you can call in. But yeah, go ahead, brother Bakari.
No, I just want to say we on here talking about black men, and here comes some black dude, and I say he's black. Can't really tell his picture, but he put up that SYSBM. Save yourself, black man. It sounds gay to me. Any black man that don't want to be sound like they don't want to be around a woman. Again, MGTOW. Men go their own way. What type of man is promoting something like that? And why would he come? And it's a good thing that he's watching your channel. But how you gonna come on here and want to insult black women and black men for wanting to be with the black woman? Now he got his picture kind of small, but the one little group that he said SYSBM, make me believe that he's black. And that's what I'm talking about, how black men was on YouTube and they had a whole lot of channels degrading black women. So then he put up there, Pookie and Ray Ray can have the hood with his United States flag. I have, see, those are the ones we know you got to get rid of first. Those are the ones we know are not with us at all. So we know someone like that is not with us. He's not with me. We know that. And so since we know that, we know the ones that with us, we gonna work together. The one that's not with us, that's getting in the way, like that's in the way, they get run over. And not just on YouTube, we have to be willing to do that physically in the streets. We have to run over them first.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure that he may not even be a black dude, because just based off some of the language that he used. But like, just to address the issue, we just gotta say, like, point blank, it is weak for a black man to blame white supremacy on black women, or to say, black women are this and that, because we talked about it earlier, how black women has a history. Like, you could point to many instances, like probably more times than not, a black woman being more militant in the struggle. There's been times where black women say, we're taking over because black men aren't really doing nothing but really trying to, from the integration to before that, and to say that you identify with a racist organization like MGTOW, instead of black women, that kind of shows like where you are. And to say, we don't have black women, you can't call yourself black like after this generation, because like, you're kind of wiping yourself out. So you might as well just give up now if that's the case, because there's no point of being here. But that's kind of some troll stuff, and I get it. Um, and you can call in, like I said, and you talking about MGTOW is not about race, but I said is a racist. There's nothing but races in there. I know exactly what MGTOW is. I've been looking at it. So, like I said, you can call in, and Brother Maurice, you want to answer him, or it's up to you.
Well, I think somebody that would come on here saying some foolishness like that really already showed what side he's on, and he's not on our side. So, as Brother Bakari said, he doesn't need to be existing physically, and I'll rest on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with y'all, and anybody can call in. We about to wrap it up. If you want to call in and say something real quick, but we about to wrap it up. But like I said, we, like, as black men, we have to understand that when we start building the things that we have to build and doing what we have to do, don't worry about it. Black women will be right there. That's what they've been waiting on. We, once we do what we have to do, we have to handle our situation, and trust them to handle theirs. We have to start developing trust within each other, and that won't happen until we start trusting ourselves, and that won't happen until we start loving ourselves. And like my brother said, we are all we got. We don't have any other choice. Now, I make these videos showing people getting shot, but we should be more angry that so many of our people are dying from poor health, like health for diabetes and stuff like that. We should be mad we aren't in control of our own food. We aren't taught, as kids, like in school, what's better for our body, what's better for us. When we've been taught this self-hate, and then we come on here saying that, we need to stay away from black women because black women are the enemy, and we need to side with the enemy against black women, but that would lead to our own destruction. But, we are still here as a people, and we are going to keep going, and we're going to keep growing. But, I want y'all brothers to go ahead and close out, say everything y'all want to say. There's no time limit. Anything I might have missed or whatever, go ahead and talk about it. So y'all can go ahead.
Once again, Brother Forecast, thanks for inviting me to your show. I thank the chat for joining. I appreciate the chat for listening. And if you heard something that you like, just subscribe to my channel. It's called Brother Bakari. Brother Maurice, it was good doing the show with you. We haven't been on here in a while. And this was it was a good program. Gender wars is something that we need to discuss. And with this guy, Jabroni, whatever, who came in toward the end, this is what we were talking about. And I know we all mentioned him discussing MGTOW, and Brother Prison of War put that in check, was like, hey, MGTOW is the group that want to replace women with the sex dolls. But he also said he was SYSBM. That is Save Yourself Black Men. That's a group black men started on YouTube to degrade and belittle black women. See, it's good to know we have some great coons out here, so we know who not to deal with. It's good to know you have these type of people. He must have mother issues, because when you find a black man that just hate black women like that, maybe it was something he didn't get from his mother. Because I know if he's a black man, his mother is black, or his grandmother is black, grandmothers are black, and he just hate black women. So that's a problem. So that's the type of man I would not want my daughter to be around at all, because you know how he would feel about her, because he have a problem with all black women, in which that's where he come from. Putting up SYSBM is why I say that he's black. But once again, man, I just had to touch on that because he's still hitting on the thing. I thank you again for allowing me to be a part of your panel. I thank the chat. And now yield the mic.
All right. I want to thank you, dear brother, for having me on. But Brother Bakari, yes, sir. It's definitely good to do a program with you. We haven't been on a program together. It was definitely good being here. That guy is not one of us. To be a part of the group that he's claiming to be a part of is just, savage. We have our way. And we know what our way is about. And we have to be about that way. I do also see a question about what does my wife feel about my polygamous past? Well, in the past, a person's past is their past. That's not my present, Hell, there's a lot of things I did in my past that I wouldn't do in my present. So, anybody's past is their past. Whether or not she would not approve of it if we went forward today, that's not her thing, but that was in my past, just like things were in her past. So past is where it is. What are you doing presently? I think that's what Janet Jackson said, right? What are you doing lately or something like that? But we are at war. That's more important. We're at war, and the survival of our people is at stake. And we got to be able to not just, have our messages on YouTube, but we have to be able to take our messages to the street where our people are. Because all the people we spoke to this weekend, they never seen anything about my YouTube. Hell, majority of them never even heard about what Black First is. They never even heard a saying of that, So we have to make sure. Yes, I did tell her. That's the answer to your question. Yes, she did. She does know. So we have to be about our current business. And our current business is to secure a future for us and the future for our generations. That's what we have to do. And we can't do that by playing games and playing tiddlywinks. We need to be out there in the street. We need to be organizing, and we need to be functioning properly so that we can get the stuff done. Because at the end of the day, as we've all have said, we are all we got. Ain't nobody coming to save that. Ain't nobody coming to save us. If we don't save ourselves, there's nobody coming to save us. And that is our reality. And that's what we got to deal with. So as we always say, you kill the nigga in you, and I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black First. Today, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you, big brother. And I rest my mind.
Man, yeah, I appreciate y'all brothers for real, man. Y'all brought the information, y'all brought the knowledge, and I appreciate y'all like telling y'all stories. Like that was real deep, man. Y'all made the show real good. And I know the brother, I mean, I can't call him a brother, but I know he's trying to troll or whatever, but you kind of see how the trolls do, because that's why I like to expose them. You tell them to call in, they don't call in to prove their point. I get people over here. I want people to call in and challenge me. That's what I've been preparing for this whole time. So, that's why I give people the opportunity so they can expose themselves. Because people like to run back and say, I've been blocked. They don't want to talk about it when really they don't have nothing but the same talking points. But this kind of proves my point, and the whole purpose of the show, right, is that is a weak mindset that has been instilled into our people, as Black people, and we need to start focusing and doing what we have to do, to get out of the situation that we are in, and too many of us and has been the cowardness, fear has been beaten so deep within us, right, that we have to find a way to wake the people up, and that's the whole purpose, And again, man, I think y'all brothers, and yeah, YouTube deleted the channel. I didn't even know that. So, everybody go ahead and what's your Maurice Muhammad 2, right?
Yes, sir. Maurice Muhammad _2.
Yeah, Maurice Muhammad _2. Yeah. Everybody go subscribe to his channel. That's another reason why we need to start supporting each other. There's no reason why all of us can't put money together when YouTube start tripping and blocking our channels, and we can, put our content on a channel that on a website that can't be messed with or none of that. So, we need to start doing what we have to do. And you know, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Like again, I appreciate y'all brothers. Much respect to everybody in the chat room. I gave everybody a chance to call in, and I'll be back soon. And like the brother Muhammad said, Maurice Muhammad said, like I'll have to get y'all brothers back on the show real soon to talk about that polygamy thing. That is a topic that'll be a good topic to discuss. So we're gonna do that coming up soon. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.